What's up guys, Dan from the Headwaters Kayak Shop, and I'm out here at Lodi Lake today testing a new boat. Something a little different for me. It's an inflatable kayak. The AquaGlide rep came by, so he left me with a Chelan XL Tandem to test out. It's an inflatable with a rigid floor, so I'm gonna pump it up and I'm gonna give you guys my honest feedback. So first thing I gotta say is the backpack is really nice. It's hard to believe that big of a tandem, I think it's like 13 feet, fits into a bag this small. It's got room for my pump, everything. It's definitely one of my complaints about inflatables in the past is you have to jam them in such a tight space. So have a look at the seats here. Kind of cool thing, nice breathable panels on the floor in the back, clip-in seat. It's got a little pocket there on the back, mesh pocket for sunblock or things you'd want access to. A couple of rod holders. I mean, I guess if you're recreational fishing, it's a nice place to put something, maybe a sweet umbrella. But I don't know how functional this would actually be for anything but transport. But I really like the floor on it. The floor inflates. So kind of cool, the seat's nice, the butt pad inflates. Got a couple of little more pockets up front here. And I think it's gonna make it so you're not sitting in a puddle. It's the other thing I used to think about when I thought inflatables is I see people like sitting way down in them, kind of sunk down. Between this and the drop stitch floor, I don't think you're gonna have too much of that. So I was trying to figure out what these were for in the kit, and I just put it together. This is like your foot brace. These go Velcro pieces, attach right onto those two black strips on the floor, and it gives you a spot to kind of press your heels against. Yeah, feels good. I feel like I'm in an upright kayak that doesn't feel overly wide or overly deep. Sweet. You ready to give it a shot, dude? All right, let's do it. So before we go for a paddle, we have to install the skeg. I do like how the fin is nice and kicked back, so if you run into logs, you're gonna bounce over it. One thing I am a little surprised by is the amount of glide it has. I wouldn't expect a boat this bulbous to feel like it'd want to go straight after you stop paddling, but even with DACs in the front, it just wants to keep cruising straight. The skeg keeps it on course, and it really cuts through the water. I'm pleasantly surprised, to be honest with you. The stability is ridiculous. Like, you're not going to flip this over. I could see something like this becoming our standard in the rental for people that take away and go float the rivers, because you're just not going to flip it over. Like, no matter what you do, even standing, jumping around in it, it's not going anywhere. Even with the big dumb golden retriever. Good job.
Is that a blow-up one?
Yeah, I'm actually testing it out and doing a video review right now. And the last blow-ups I tried were just garbage, you know, blowing all over around, didn't track, and you sort of sat in a puddle.
Yeah.
This thing, you sit up, it's like, it feels actually like a kayak. This one's meant for, it's a two-seater with a kid's hopper seat.
Oh, okay. Good for your family.
Right, exactly. All right, well, I deserve that. Thankfully, that's my phone. My keys are up there, so no harm, no foul. All right, enough with the messing around. We're gonna take this thing and go for an active paddle. Let's see how fast it can go. Okay. There you go, good boy. One of the nice things about this boat is the Velcro floor on it that allows you to trim it however you want. If you want more weight forward, you can trim the seat forward. It's got lash tabs all through the boat to clip in the seat. You could have the person in the front facing the person in the back. Really a lot of different options. Or like right now, I've got the golden in the back. I could trim myself forward to get a more balanced paddling position. Gotta say, I'm surprised at the glide. I really expect it to be more of a pig. It doesn't feel much different than any other tandem that we have. So far that Skag's helping keep everything straight. As I paddle, I think about some of the places I've been with my RV where I'm not really able to take a big kayak or would be kind of clumsy and in the way. But if I had this thing folded up in a backpack, I would totally get my family on the water. Enough to haul me, all three of my kids, or my wife and I, and it fits in a backpack. So just to get on the water and explore and know that it's not going to be, you know, huge compromise in your paddling experience. The one thing I really like is when you stop paddling, it wants to maintain its course. Obviously that's because of the Skag, but I would still think the nose would get pushed around. Not as bad as I thought. That'll be a test for that Skag. We popped right over it. This has a Skag. It's not quite like a paddleboard. It's a little bit rounder and flatter, but I thought for sure it was going to hang up on that bunch of weeds. So yeah, it just bounced right over it. That's cool. So who's this boat for then? Somebody who's doing traveling, lives in an apartment, somebody that wants easy portability but still good paddling performance. You know, you can get cheap inflatables, but they're just that. They're cheap, they're flexy. In fact, AquaGlide makes some, but I just wasn't interested in that. I want somebody to have a viable paddling experience. If they get this boat, I want them to feel like they're a paddler, that they're not just in an inflatable toy. Somebody that wants the option to go tandem, they also want the option to go by themselves or maybe bring a dog. Maybe that wants to do a little bit of fishing. There's lots of room in here for that. I like the lots of little thought out features. You actually have storage underneath the deck if you wanted to put a dry bag there or some camping gear. And if you had stuff you wanted access to throughout the day, you got this nice deck bungee right on top to secure even more gear. So very practical use of space. I really feel like if you wanted to, you could do multiple day camping trips out of this boat. It's got more than enough capacity, more than enough stability, and plenty of storage front, back, and if you're by yourself, man, you could even bring a cooler or whatever, almost use it like a canoe. Other well thought out feature was this little guy. Wherever you're coming up on shore, it's got a little keel protector, which is gonna take the initial impact as you're coming up and down. So that's gonna take the abuse so the rest of the kayak doesn't have to. As we move out of stern, you'll notice the features of like the plastic nose cap, deck bungee, splash screen. It's got D-rings on the outside where you can add an additional spray skirt for both single and tandem options if you're paddling in a lot of chop. Here you see the Velcro floor. This is where you could attach and slide it. Also the footrest can be moved forward and backwards on there as well. You've got lots of little pad eyes. That's where your seat attaches, both with the front, the back paddler, or in a center solo position. I like how they position these guys on top, so they're easy access to get the fitting in there to pump it up. All in all, a very well thought out boat. Also, for those of us that are paddling with kids, they make this nice little inflatable hopper seat. That also fits right onto the Velcro tracks, and it gives you a spot for your kid to sit between your legs, keeps them up out of the water, and gives them a nice squishy spot. All right, well that's the end of the review today, you guys. I really appreciate you watching. I came into this very skeptical, but optimistic too. I've had a lot of customers come through that have been wanting an inflatable kayak because they live in an apartment, they travel in an RV. You know, maybe they're older and they want to paddle together, but they can't lug around an 80-pound tandem on top of their SUV. This is a very viable option, and not only is it a viable option, it's really not that much of a compromise. It paddles dang good. I only had it in the flat today, but I would honestly be recommending this to a lot of those customers that are coming in with special requests and confidently selling it to them, knowing that they're going to get a good product that's going to serve them well, and I think it's going to last a lifetime. If you guys have any questions, don't hesitate to give me a call at the shop. It's 209-224-8367, or you can shoot me an email, headwaterskayak@gmail.com. I'd love to chat with you more. If you haven't done so already, click the like button, subscribe to the channel, and we're going to keep these sort of things coming. Until next time, this is Dan, wishing you happy paddling.